guys, and welcome to episode number 28 of the Heritage Agendas Football Podcast. As always, myself and abdiisalah. How we doing, bro?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Good. How is your Ramadan?
It's been going well. I cannot complain, but I'm feeling it today, that's for sure.
I know, man. I was like all the routines, like grabbing like the 2 cups of water, grabbing the thing before. Like my voice is gonna be
Yep.
so finished after this.
I keep my water bottle like right next to me. It's just so I don't get out of bed at nighttime. But it's, I didn't eat anything last night and I'm feeling it
Me
today. Oh my.
neither. I didn't eat. I didn't eat last night, so like late. So like I woke up this morning. I was like, I am finished, and I'm feeling it today.
Yeah, and it's what, day 10 today? Alhamdulillah.
I think day 10. Yeah,
10?
that's
Yeah,
wow.
so
That's crazy.
you would think it's crazy, bro, how fast it's going, but you got to take advantage of the rewards,
Yeah, no,
inshallah.
absolutely. All right. Well, we are doing this episode kind of dedicated to catching up on Champions League. I know the last time we talked, we were kind of midway through, I believe, the round of 16.
Hmm.
We kind of wanted to talk about um, well, I believe actually we were a little past there. Yeah, we were midway
I think
through.
after the first leg,
The first
after
legs were done, and then the second legs were upcoming. So we're gonna
yeah.
talk about kind of the outcomes of each tie, give an overview, our surprises, and then also dedicate the second half of the episode to previewing the quarterfinals, which the matchups are crazy. I think this is the most star-studded quarterfinal that I can remember in some time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean, every matchup, like kind of to give spoilers, but I know we're going to be playing at the same time as you guys do, and both those games are crazy.
I
Um,
know.
I know, so that's going to be really exciting. But we'll start with Bayern Munich and Lazio. That second leg, Bayern Munich obviously with a comeback 3-0 at home. I know we had a lot of concerns with their form and kind of the Bundesliga slipping away, but dominant performance. Harry Kane stepped up. I know the big questions with him and his ability to play in these big games. Obviously, Thomas Muller played well. Really, just a
Mhm.
dominating performance from minute one onward. Kind of talk to me about the tie as a whole. I know Bayern have had their up and down swings and kind of your outlook for them.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought Lazio would be an easy tie, but you
Mm-hmm.
didn't expect Bayern to lose the first leg at least, and then they took care of business the second leg.
Yep.
But for me, I didn't see enough to where I think I know coming in you had them as your favorites.
Yes.
I don't think at least this whole Champions League, I don't think they've played as favorites, especially against the likes of Man City and Real Madrid. Real Madrid, I don't think they've lost a game in this competition at all this
No.
whole season, and Man City too. So I think second leg, they were at home. They did what they had to do. Harry Kane scored twice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think Tuchel is when a coach is already on the outs like that, I think the thing is you have nothing to lose aspect of it where you can kind of try whatever you want. I think he should lean into that a little bit more where he can be less predictable. But it's Thomas Tuchel. We know what he is and what he's been doing for the last 3-4 years, ever since he left PSG. But Bayern, to me, I wasn't moved by them over this tie. I think they just don't look the part of a top two, top three team expected to win this competition. And I'm glad they're into the next round because I think Lazio would have been food for everybody else that's on to the next
Yep.
quarterfinals. But 3-1, they lost the first leg and then hand won convincingly in the second leg. But I wasn't too moved by how well they played or what they can do moving forward. I think they're just still below right below a tier A team in this competition.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with a lot of what you said. I think, even though they did handle business, it was very expected.
Yeah.
Especially we were really concerned after the first leg. Like we thought, like they had a really good chance of going home. So,
Yeah.
which is crazy for Bayern at this stage. I think we're seeing a lot of Tuchel, even though we're 18 months in. Um, with how up and down the season is, he still doesn't really know his best team, in my opinion. I think he's
Yeah,
scrambling with, trying a bunch of different players at different positions. Obviously, there's a couple established people in there. I think that they really missed out on a DM. I thought it was something that they were going to address in January with João Polina, but it never happened.
yeah,
And kind of turning back to Eric Dyer, who I can't believe he starts for Bayern on UCL match days, but I mean, if he wants to go that route, then he can. Um, Rafael Guerrero has been playing a lot over Alfonso Davies, which is not really been a surprise, but I am surprised to a degree, and
yeah.
we see them really just trying a lot in the midfield. Like they kicked Kimmich out to the right back position. They bring in Pavlovic for the second leg. I think I agree with you. If I had to rank them, um, just off the top of my head, they'd be closer to eighth than they would be to first. I think that
Absolutely.
I think that I think that we have a lot of question marks for them ahead of the next game. I do think the one thing I'll say that really benefits them is that Bayern have a lot thinner of a squad than I think that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that them essentially being out of the Bundesliga title race, because I think it's a foregone conclusion now with how good Leverkusen are playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're really going to be able to focus in on this competition. I think that's going to help them a lot. Um, but now, obviously, they have injury concerns. So with Neuer and with Kane, I know
Yep.
a week and a half ago or so, but I think Kane should be good to go. Um, but yeah, I think just big question marks overall for them, and I can see a lot of teams winning before I see them winning, to be honest. But I think just based off of name and some of their talents alone, you just have to they have a chance. I think
They have
every
a
team
puncher's
left has
chance.
a chance. Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. I remember when they lost the first leg, it was in that where they lost three in a row where
Yep.
Leverkusen kicked their butt.
And then
Um,
Bochum and then
yep.
Lazio. Yeah.
And then I think reality is like starting to set in that the Bundesliga is gone. And this is like all they have to, this is all
Yeah.
they got, pretty much. Which is not something they usually prioritize the Bundesliga because they're usually in first place around this time of the year.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, they have to accept it. The Champions League is all they have. Obviously, a Champions League trophy would probably mean more to them than freaking winning the next five Bundesligas. It's just how Germany is.
Yep.
But especially winning 11 or 12 in a row. So this is it for them. This is all they got for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll pivot off of that to the second game of the eight, and that was Real Sociedad at PSG.
Yeah.
PSG have had their struggles. Obviously, they're first in Liga, which is not too big of a surprise. Consider they usually cakewalk outside of a couple years. But I mean, I think PSG's road to winning this competition obviously is surrounded around one man, and he kind of goes without naming, and that's Kylian
Mhm.
Mbappe. Um, that second leg was just a reflection of how good he is as a player. Unbelievable. His first goal, I'm confusing them. He had the trademark now, that near post finish where he's running left to right, and then he twists his hips. But like honestly, I think like no one else in the world can, and just rockets it near post. That shot, it looks easy, but like if you play, you know how difficult it is
Yeah.
to change all your momentum and send it near post and get that much power on it. And I think that was his second goal. His first goal was he got it on the end line. He beat three or four defenders, did like two shot fakes, and then just hit it far post. Um,
The first goal was a what if of what could have happened in the World Cup, if Diabala didn't kick the
didn't.
ball right,
Yep.
because that's exactly the shot he was setting up then. And it ripped the net. It was just incredible how powerful of a kick it is,
Hmm.
especially after all those movements and stuff like that. He's unbelievable. But keep going.
Yeah. No. I think obviously I don't want to get into an Mbappe tangent. I
Yeah.
think it's if he goes to Real Madrid, I think he's gonna turn 26 or 27 when he goes, which is kind of a it just shows how much of his career I feel like he's wasted
Yeah.
with no significant individual awards yet, and no at the club level I should say, not at the national level obviously,
Yeah.
but and nothing really to show for with PSG. Um, do I think that PSG can win it? Yes. Um, will they win it? No, I don't think so. Even though they're on the easy side of the bracket, which we'll talk about later. But
Yeah,
I just look at this team and there's too many question marks for me. I still think that it's just that Mbappe needs basically to do what he did against Sociedad, what, five more times for them to even have a chance. And even
pretty
still,
much.
I think then, they won't win it. But the floor is yours.
The Obviously he played exceptionally well, and if they're
Hmm.
gonna do anything else, it's gonna be the back of him. But
Yeah.
I'm just like the thing that always surprises me with Mbappe is just how mentally tough he is. Coming off that, he's always the same win, 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 no matter what.
Yeah.
And first time I think in his PSG career, he is the main man. There's no doubt. There's no Neymar, there's no Messi. This is his show. They will go as far as he takes them. And I think you kind of I want to see this for the first time where there's no excuses where Neymar was injured, what could have been, you know? This is
Yeah.
all they have. This is their whole squad.
And
He's the
this is
best
his
player.
team.
This is his team. And a lot of it is some of his choosing some of these players that are not playing right now because they're terrible. But I just he's a fascinating player.
Of course, yeah.
Skill wise, physicality, everything. He's just a
Best in the
perfect.
world.
Yeah, at best, I agree with you. He's the best player in the world, and he played like it over those two legs. And I think moving forward, especially in that side of the bracket, he's the best player on the pitch every game. And I think he believes he has a chance, and I don't doubt it because what he can do, he can change games in an instant. And that's all you want, just to be able to have a chance um to affect games like that, and he can instantaneously for long periods of time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that PSG got really fortunate in the way the bracket fell to them because I think all the teams that are extremely strong in midfield, like
Yeah,
obviously Real and City, are on the other side of the bracket, and they're not playing them now. Even Arsenal, the teams that really control possession, limit how dangerous he can be. Um, they got really lucky. I think that's for me still the biggest question with PSG is are Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, Zaire Emery, and Dembele
yeah.
and Ugarte, are they good enough um, to really win a Champions League? And in my mind, the answer is no. But I think you said it best. When you have the best player on the pitch, you'll always have a chance. And we saw it with Sociedad. Sociedad played, I thought, decently over the two legs. They never had a
They,
chance because of and him alone.
they weren't even close. Some of the like they just looked like they weren't even from the same planet as Mbappe. He was just
Yeah,
walking right past them.
and that's a good
Um,
team.
and that's a great team. And
Yeah,
the midfield question, I don't think they're good enough either.
yeah.
But I think being on this side of bracket, I don't think those questions have to be answered
Until the
until
final.
the final.
Yes,
Which a final is one leg, anything can
anything.
happen.
Yeah,
I think they wouldn't want it any other way.
I 100% agree. The next one, um, I'm happy we didn't record that week because this is Real Madrid against Leipzig.
Yeah.
I mean, I had concerns going into this tie. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start for this one? We can
No,
kind
please go ahead. Floor is
of.
all yours.
I mean, the second it was an abysmal performance. It was, I think, the worst of the season for Real Madrid. They
Mhm.
If it wasn't for Openda, I think this could have been 3 or 4-1. He had a lot of chances that he missed. Um, the lineup was really confusing, starting with five midfielders. I remember Valverde, Bellingham, Cruz, Tchouameni, and Camavinga.
Yeah.
Nacho has been very, very poor this season. Really, if it wasn't for Lunin, this is a loss. Madrid kind of just sat back, sat back, sat back, sat back, absorbed a lot of pressure, but also got counterattacked, which I don't really understand how that makes sense.
Yeah.
Vinicius and Bellingham combined for a great goal. I think really over two legs, I can make the argument that Leipzig played better home and away, and they're very unfortunate to not, be going through. But
Yeah.
I guess this is what the good teams do, and we've talked about it all season. When they're not at their best, they find a way to win. But there are major concerns for this team going into the quarterfinal against City, which we're going to talk about. The first question mark for me is where did the goals come from?
Yeah.
Rodrigo has been good, and then he was bad to start the season, and then was on fire, and then now he's back to frigid. Um, this we've kind of talked about it, and I know we joke about it all the time that they don't really win in a sustainable way, but it feels like it's
Yeah,
kind of starting to rear its ugly head now, which is
yeah,
the worst part of the season. So it's going to take a Herculean effort for me to see them win the Champions League. I think they have the talent to do it, but I think it's reliant. First of all, I think Militao has to come back in some capacity, or Chouameni has to start at center back. I don't think Nacho is good enough. He's been horrible this season, easily our worst player.
yeah.
And we're gonna need Vinicius and Jude to have master classes from here on out.
After the game, I was reading a tweet that was like listing out like 8 different things that Leipzig did. They played this, and they had 1 goal. And they had 1 goal over 34 shots over 180 minutes, which is the sum of it all. Real Madrid this whole season for 7, 8 months now, we've been like, when will when will this finally bite them in the ass? And it hasn't yet.
And it
They've
could have here.
and it could have easily. I think if you play this like 10 times, I think Leipzig could have easily won 5 or 6 times, I believe, just by how well they played over those 2 legs. But they also have Jude and Vinny. That goal was what a ball by
By
Jude. Oh,
Jude.
right in stride. All Vinny had to do was just tap it, and that was it. And he carried that ball 50, 60 yards. He's 29 goals and assists over 31 games.
That's crazy.
Is unbelievable.
Are we sure
So
he's 20, by the way?
he well, he was born in the UK or wherever he was born, so I think he's good for that.
Yeah.
He's not Ngolo or anything like that where we have to like double check, or Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
But he is 20 years old and he is absolutely unbelievable for what he's done this season. And this is where what like I think he's the front runner
For the
for the Ballon
Ballon?
d'Or right
Yeah.
now, as he should be. But there's moments where he's completely lifted this team to from where it's a guaranteed loss to where they get back a point or where they win for the most part, as they've done. I choose to look at it that way. I won't look at it as if Real Madrid was completely outplayed over 2 games. I just like the fact that Jude and Vinny and all the midfielders, obviously injuries are rearing its head, and Tchouaméni is being asked to play center back, and all this stuff is I think takes a back seat. No one really cares because it's the biggest club in the world, and everyone tells them to figure it out.
Yeah.
But these real issues. Nacho is not ideal. Nacho is a squad
Been
player,
very bad.
guy
Yeah.
that could make maximum 10 games a season, but he's being asked to play literally the rest of the season since from January, February on, since everybody's been down. But I think City is the real test, and that's where I don't think it's a bad end to a season for Real Madrid. I think they've had a great season. They will win. They will win La Liga, and they've won another trophy. But I think they're just a little bit shorthanded. They don't have a striker. Rodrigo is a complete no-show, and the first part of the season where he was a no-show, it was 3 months. So you never know when this spell could end for him.
100%.
But I'm just amazed by Jude, man, and Vinny, who's missed, I believe, two months of the season, maybe close to 3 months of the season, and he's up to par with everybody else in the world in
Unbelievable.
goals and assists. So they have a good foundation. I think the most important thing this summer is just finishing up the squad. I think they have to finally address some stuff that they've overlooked the last couple of years, which is a striker, which is center backs, which is fullbacks, and I think they will this year.
I think they're going to hit on all three based off of what we're hearing. Mbappe is pretty much done. Endrick is coming in, and Alphonso
Yeah,
Davies, I think, and Lenny Yoro. So, I mean, you get those
absolutely.
four. I'm very very happy
But
with the squad.
I will say one thing. I don't think they should play Militao against City.
You think
That could be ugly bad because he's been
this
training
first?
for like 3-4 weeks now, maybe a month. And then to drop him off
I mean, we
in
just saw what happened with
League would
Courtois
be
too.
exactly. So Courtois is going to be gone for another 4 or 5 weeks, off a meniscus tear, I believe. So it's ACL injuries are hard to gauge, especially in Europe where they come back so quickly. 6, 7 months is like literally it. Courtois got
Yeah,
injured July, August, and he's fully trained. He was fully training before he got injured. So that's not a risk I would take. Obviously, he's needed, but just for the long-term purposes, because he's so young and he's a vital piece of the team, that's not something I would advise.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Moving on to the team we just talked about, Man City. I think this was probably the most, it was kind of a formality.
I have no notes on this
I
game at
have
all.
very, very
Literally,
few notes.
yeah,
Just kind of Man City, no surprise. Played
yeah,
very, very well home and away. Um, Erling Haaland is starting to kick into stride again, which is very scary for the rest of Europe.
yeah.
And I mean, we don't have too much on this tie, but are they your favorites?
Absolutely. I
Yep.
think I don't think they're as good as last year, but I think they're just so much better than everybody else that it's going to take a little bit to close that gap. I think they're easily the favorites in terms of, especially De Bruyne coming back. I know he is injured now, but it's international break. You know what Pep does. So I think they're by far the best team in the Prem, the best team in the world right now.
Yep. And then, which we'll talk about City a little bit more in their
Yeah.
predictions, but then it was the game I was looking the most forward to since August. It was Arsenal in a big game at the Emirates in the Champions League. The floor is yours. Talk as long as you want. Kind of what you saw from this.
Oh my God. You know that Kevin Garnett after they won the championship and he was
Anything is
like,
possible.
anything is possible. When Raya saved that penalty, bro, I was, oh my God. I've never had a feeling like that in sports in such a long time. Probably since like LeBron won the maybe 2013 NBA title. But I thought Odegaard was absolutely what a performance by him. What a captain's performance. And then my biggest like I think it was a moment of growing up because we joke about the freaking Porto, parking the bus and stuff like that. But they have a generational parking the bus talent because
Oh
they
yeah.
park the bus, but they have such good players that you make a mistake, you pay for it no matter what. It's been 14 years since we've been back to the quarterfinals.
See.
7 years we were not in the Champions League. And then 7 years before that, we got knocked out of the freaking round of 16 for 7 years. This is uncharted territory for me for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. Anything after this is, more than enough for me. I think we've had an incredible season. Obviously, the Prem is a little bit different, but in the Champions League, I remember at the beginning of this season, I said a quarterfinals was good enough for me.
Yep.
This is the start. But I think Raya established himself as the number one keeper. He was for me, no matter what. But doing what he did, especially coming off of what Ramsdale did the weekend before, man, what a feeling, man! I'm so happy to be back in this big stage. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh, I woke up so early for the for the tie, for the draw.
Oh
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh my God. I'm
It's nothing like Champions League, right? The people who say domestic,
man.
there's nothing like it.
Man, oh my! And now the game again, the first leg against Bayern will be in London. Will be, I
All
think,
home.
99% all Arsenal fans, which is probably going to be an atmosphere we've never seen before with no away people, at least away sections. But I didn't even talk about the game, but I just felt so good. Man,
I mean,
man,
the thing for me is like I've been saying it since August, September. I was like, this is exactly what I want to see. Like, I don't
yeah,
care about away to Brentford, home Newcastle, even home Liverpool in the league. I care about Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
yep,
You have to win. You're at home. The pressure is on. If you lose, you're out.
mm-hmm,
And this is the first time I think we've seen it with. I mean, we saw it Europa League, but Europa League's not the same. This is the first time we've seen it for maybe eight of their players, eight or nine. So like pretty much
absolutely.
the whole team outside of Jorginho and Havertz.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Havertz I thought played very well. Saka, I will say I was disappointed. I thought he could have played a lot better, home
He,
and
he got
away.
locked up. He got
Yeah,
locked.
we're gonna this. It's a shame we're gonna forget about the performance of Pepe, 41 years old, played like he was
Man,
24, like fake performance.
some of the
Um,
shit he was doing, man. Oh my God. You're just like, what the
Unbelievable.
hell? He
it
is
was like a
incredible.
leech. He was everywhere. I'm telling you. So um, he played really well. You hit on it really well. Like Porto, you know, we always joked about, you know, them sitting back at low block, but they
Yep,
countered well. I thought they had chances. Um,
absolutely.
and you know, to allow one goal to an Arsenal team that's been scoring, you know, freely in the Premier League over what is that, like 210 minutes is you know nothing short of remarkable. Um, I can't lie. When it went to penalties, I was like, oh, like this is exactly where I feel like Porto would be extremely happy if you told them they're playing pens. But to, you know, to their credit, the challenge was there and they stepped up to the challenge, and I think that's what not only like Arsenal fans but like neutrals have been looking for since for years now. So I
Yeah,
agree with. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I think this says more about Porto that it says about Arsenal. You know, just how well Porto played, how well they've held Arsenal to a one goal over 180 minutes. A team that's I think we've scored what like before the first leg it was like 25 goals and we conceded three goals. Is absolutely we were on a tear and they completely shut that down. So kudos to them, man. I don't ever want to play Porto ever again. I want no parts. And then one more thing. Raya, Rice, and Havertz, who were the signings of over the summer, all contributed. Raya and Havertz and Rice both made their penalties, and Raya saved two penalties. So it was unbelievable. It was just a full circle moment of what Arteta's trying to build.
Those penalties, by the way, were fantastic. Like
Yeah,
every single one, they were all. It was well, Havertz. I had a feeling would score. He's great at them.
he's
Saka,
incredible. Yeah,
after playing as poor as he did, like great penalty. I think Odegaard took one, and Rice
Mhm.
as well. All of them were really good. So and those are young players, the majority of them. So I was thoroughly impressed, and I think you hit it all like hit it well. I think the expectation for Arsenal was a quarterfinal, and I think anything after that is a plus. So I think
yeah,
anything from here is a plus. I really do think they can win it, but we'll kind of go from there.
yeah.
And then
Mhm.
moving on, the next tie is Barcelona and Napoli. Barcelona, the first leg, a 1-1 draw. The second leg, they were much, much better. Um, this is what Xavi Ball's last season. We talked about it a little last week. They're, you know, I will always say the one thing I give credit to Barcelona for is that they
Yeah,
really do
youngster.
give their academy kids chances. This
Yeah.
Kubarasi kid, I watched him more against Atletico on the weekend. That was fantastic. Like 17 years old is crazy. Obviously, Lamine Yamal has been really good. Fermin
Mhm.
scored. Joao Cancelo has been really good. They got up to a really, really good start, and then Lewandowski kind of put the tie away. Um, there's been talks about like, do you think that they can win it this year?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Um I think if everything goes, where they are on the bracket, I think they have a chance
Yep.
because I think squad wise, I think they probably are the best. I don't think they could beat Atletico, but I think they could beat PSG, and if Atletico doesn't come through, I think they could beat Dortmund. So I think they have a shot, but like I think everything has to fall into a perfect place. I don't I Xavi is not worthy of a sending off with a Champions League trophy. I will not have it. I don't care what I gotta do. That will not happen. But the youth movement is incredible.
Yeah.
He's I think on his way out. I think he's made it his mission to give as many youngsters as possible. They started two 17-year-olds. I've never seen that before. Two 17-year-olds who put in elite performances against in against Napoli, which is unbelievable and unheard of. So, and Fermin Lopez, who scored, is only 20 years old. So it's like is just I don't know what you think there's a chance he stays?
I've been thinking that the last couple of weeks. Like, I do think there's a chance he stays. I feel like if they end the
I do
season on a
too.
real high and then they have some
Yeah.
like heartbreaking loss, I think he could stay.
I think Xavi cracked under pressure when he resigned. I think the noise got too loud. They were
It
coming for
did.
his head, and he was like, "I got to get out of here before they get rid of me." And
Hmm.
now that like things are starting to settle down, and like teams playing well, and obviously they're missing this game. They obviously Gavi's injured.
Pedri injured, De Jong
Pedri's injured. De
injured.
Jong didn't play. So like he has a lot of excuses, but I think he threw in the towel too soon, man. He way too soon. So I think he might. And if anyone can do it, it's him. He has a lot of power in that organization.
Yeah, I think he was kind of going for like the, oh, you won't know what you have until it's gone. And
Yes,
then I
and
think like
now
the
it's
couple
backfired.
weeks after, they're like, well, who wants that job? First of all, I don't think it's that good of a job to want. You have to go into the transfer market with scraps, in
Yeah,
terms of funding, and you have that Lewandowski contract that's ugly, and he's regressing. But I mean, to their credit, like I said, they got the job done. I think Napoli have been pretty subpar this year, and I'm really curious to
terrible
see.
season
I
for
thought they
them.
got very fortunate with the draw. I think that they could have easily gotten to a team where we were just sitting here and we're like, well, it was a nice run while it lasted. Their competition's
Yeah.
over, but I think they have a chance.
And I think what they're seventh in Serie A, so no UCL next year. They're probably going to
Yeah,
lose this player, in Osimhen this summer. So what a incredible season last year, and then now it's back to
back.
back
Yeah,
to the gutter. Yeah,
yep. And then the last two, this was your favorite tie, actually. This was PSV against Dortmund. We
yeah.
saw Dortmund a 2-0 win at home. PSV had a lot of chances this game,
Oh
but
my God.
Dortmund do advance, and kind of talk me through this one, and
Right
overall.
before Royce put the finishing touches on the game, they missed
A
a sitter
sitter,
right in front of the
yes.
keeper.
De Jong.
Right in front. De Jong missed it. And I'm like, and then they just take it ball and then they scored. Obviously, the young defender slipped and then Royce had a clean one-on-one. But Jadon Sancho, like he scored the most important goal of the freaking his whole career, pretty much. He hasn't scored I have it right here. He hasn't scored a UCL goal in 841 days,
That's
which is
crazy.
which is almost 3 years. That is crazy to me. But they it was a professional performance. I thought they played really well and they took their chances. They missed a lot of chances, but I like the back and forth that when two teams like that play each other. I like it like that where there's no fear. Everybody, no one's scared of each other. No one's parking the bus. But PSV they I wouldn't rewatch that game because that chance was I was before you can even process the miss. There's Royce, with a clean one-on-one right there, 35 seconds later.
He does what they
But
could. Yeah.
exactly, and it's Dortmund gets and then Dortmund gets rewarded with arguably a team, the only team that I think they had a fair chance. Obviously, I don't think they're going to beat Atletico, but I think they would have lost a lot worse to a City or a Real Madrid or even Barca. So that's the reward. They get Atletico Madrid, who they can, I think, take care of, at least have a chance, at least go into it thinking they can win. But it was good for them. I loved seeing Royce score. That's one of my favorite players of all time. He's what a man. Finishing his career at Dortmund and all that stuff and all the no's and all the injuries he's been through.
Yeah.
It's good to see him have a moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you hit it off with, Jadon Sancho. It's crazy to see what a little bit of confidence can do.
Yeah,
Like we were talking about Sancho in November and basically saying this guy might not have a career in 2, 3 years. And now he's, not only the goal, but I know it was a use to skill like 50 yards away from the goal where he did like a skill and then nutmeg the player and then went and beat two and then made a pass. But it's just
yeah.
crazy to think like confidence is really the most important attribute for a player, and his confidence is at an all time high right now, and it's good to see. It's really really good to see. Also, Ian Matson from Chelsea, the loan in January, home run signing. He's been very very good.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, like it's like you said, it PSV had a lot of chances that they just wasted. Dortmund had the same level, and they were clinical, and that's what it is at this stage of the competition. And I do think they have a chance against Atletico. Um, who, while we're on the topic about it, we might as well just jump into the last
Yeah,
of the eight round of 16 ties. This was my favorite, and it lived up to the hype, home and away. First of all, Inter have been fantastic to watch all season. I thought that they
Yeah.
were gonna handle business.
Yeah.
And once again, we said it. I said the most dangerous team in a competition is Simeone. I think no one wants to play this team. I still stand by that. And it's always funny. We always talk about it how Simeone's, the master of, sitting back and parking the bus and sitting back. But when they needed a goal, they were unbelievable going forward. And that's the thing that always frustrates people about Simeone teams is when they need a goal, they're very, very good at attacking. They just never attack.
Yeah.
So Antoine Griezmann, Inter scored early. Antoine Griezmann scored. Inter
Mhm.
had so many chances to kill the game, and you had the feeling it was going to bite them. Barella had a chance. Thuram had a pretty much a one-on-one that would have ended it, and they didn't take their chance. A couple minutes later, Depay scores. They go to extra time. They play through extra time. They go to penalties, and then Oblak was fantastic. Well, he's a great keeper. As Jan Sommer, to be fair, and again Lautaro. Uh, Sad for him because of the season he's been having, just fantastic. But I saw a tweet that was like, casual fans must think he's the most like ass striker ever, and they would be 100% justified to think it because all they've seen is the World Cup where he was horrible, and then this where he
He
was
had
also. Mhm.
he had I think like 7 offsides against Saudi Arabia in the World Cup.
Like in the final where he missed the header in the last minute too.
Yep.
Like everyone talks about the Kolomwani, but do you remember after like they came
Yeah,
down and
right.
then he had a one-on-one and it like came off of the right side of his head when he wanted to come off the
But it's,
left.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
he was looking this way and the ball went that way, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
um I feel bad that these two teams are the ones that played each other at this stage
Yeah.
because I feel like these two teams were like teams that could have made a lot of noise this year. Um but yeah, I mean, talk to me about kind of what you saw overall.
I think it's the same story as the first leg, you know. Inter left a lot on the table and they did the same thing again in the second leg. And if you do that for long periods of time and you're not finishing your chances, you're not finishing anything, especially against a team with like clinical players like Atletico Madrid, even if Morata and Griezmann and all those players and Depay, who's been playing extremely well for them since he's been there, I think it's gonna bite you in the ass, and it did. And then you take it to a chance where it goes to penalties, and they have the better keeper, and he played like it. And your best player misses a penalty. I think it just all that could go wrong went wrong for them. Did you see the ball bounce?
I did. I did see
Yeah,
that.
it's unfortunate for Lautaro, but he's just very unlucky. But I think the better team won ultimately. But Inter had a good shot. I would have preferred if they played each other in a more like maybe the quarterfinals rather than the round of 16.
It feels like it's unfinished business for Inter.
Exactly. That's what it was an incredible tie over 2 legs. I feel like we didn't get all that we could have got out of that.
I mean, this is the benefit of the omission of the away goal rule. We got two penalty ties
And
where we haven't
what
gotten one, I think, since 2016.
well, yeah, which was you guys, Ronaldo against Atletico Madrid, and we got 2 back-to-back days, which was
That
incredible.
was really nice to see.
Um,
But yeah, overall, those are the eight. So we will talk. We usually like to end with 3-5-2, but because of the nature of this episode and the four ties, we will just kind of go through those four, give our
yeah.
predictions, give why, and give a score. We won't take the cheap way out over two legs.
Okay.
We're gonna start it off with your team against they got Bayern Munich. I don't know how you were feeling about that draw. Kind of what do you think?
Bayern is one of the teams I said I would play.
Okay, good.
I did not want Real Madrid or Manchester City. That's all I didn't want. Anybody else, I was like fair game.
Hmm.
I think we can. I think we're better than them in terms of physicality. I think we have a better midfield. They are severely lacking in the midfield. They don't have a player that lines up to anybody near as good as Odegaard and Rice. And they pursued Rice over the summer, which to no luck. But I think over 2 legs, I think I'll say 5-2 because this is the first time we're about to get.
Wow.
Oh my God,
Arsenal 5.
they're about to get a spanking at the
So you think
Emirates.
like
Oh
a
my
3
God.
nil or 4-0 at home?
I think 3-0 first leg and then and then I think we lose maybe
Like two.
2-1 in the
So like
second, 3-2. Yeah, I
4-2.
think five
Okay.
two or 5-3, something like that.
Hmm.
But I think
Um,
they're getting blitzed. I cannot wait.
I think it's going to be a very good tie. I think it's going to be close. I do say Arsenal wins at the Emirates, but I
Yeah,
think Bayern takes it back. I think the second leg away is tough.
it
Um,
is,
I mean, you
especially at a
talked about the
stadium.
atmosphere at the Emirates. The atmosphere at the Allianz for a quarterfinal second leg is going to be like what the last thing is times 10. Like the way we
Yeah.
talk about like the NBA, where it's like, oh, game one, game two, it goes up, and then game seven, it's like times 10 intensity. That's like the Champions League every round. Quarterfinal, it's going to be nuts. I say Bayern takes it 4-3 on aggregate.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that Arsenal win the first game, and I think that this is something that it does not end with. I think it goes to extra time. I would like in the second leg,
Okay, that would be nice. We gotta
but it's all
exercise.
on Kane. He
It
has to
is.
perform.
It is, and I think we have the capable. Although I do think Gabriel and Saliba didn't play as well as they could against Porto. I think they will get so excited for Harry Kane.
I cannot wait for Jamal Musiala against that
Oh my
defense.
God, he's unbelievable, man. Oh my
He's so
goodness.
good. And then the next one, the one team I really didn't want, but I mean, this is Real Madrid. You just have to deal with what you get, and it's Man City.
Yeah,
So this is the best tie for me of the four. I think
it
this is the
is.
one I'm most excited, and I'm bummed out because the Arsenal game is going to be at the same time, so
Yeah,
I'm not going to really be able to
a
watch it
trilogy.
as
We
like
get a trilogy of this. That's
I
3 years
know,
in a row.
I know, yeah. So it's
1-1 right now. We're oh,
yeah, so
1-1
they
on
they
action.
smacked us last year 5-1, and we beat them the year before 6-5. Um
Heartbreaking fashion, though.
yes, yes. And
Um,
both of those were in the semifinals.
mhm.
I think Man City are not as good as last year. I'm not worried about a spanking. I think that just that game was just so off, that second leg where they just couldn't get out of their half. We had like 9 passes in the first 30 minutes or something like something ridiculous. Um, I think Real Madrid lose on penalties. I said 2-1 at the Bernabeu and 2-1 at the Etihad, but I do think if it was reversed, um, I think I would have had a way better like chances for Madrid to advance. I think the second leg not being at home hurts a lot. Um, I think the second leg is going to be a lot of survive, especially if they're able to win at the Bernabeu, which I think is very possible.
I think
So
I, the thing is, I think that's how you guys approached it last year as well, and it got bad at the end. Like you guys did survive for a while, because you guys, I think, it was 1-1
but it was
over
1-1, and then they were
1.
getting pummeled from the first minute.
Exactly. And then it just the floodgates opened after that, and then it was like 4-1, I believe, or 4-0.
Hmm.
Um, if you approach it like that, I think it could get ugly, but I think you have much better players this year. I think
Yes.
everybody's a lot better. Um, um, and I think last year you also had like Modric and Cruz playing in roles that they shouldn't have. They're a little bit lower on the pecking order as they should be. So we'll see. For me, I will say, I think it'll be close. It'll be very close. I don't think there'll be that many goals. I'll say 3-2 over 2 legs.
Okay. So I
I
had
think
three
I think you
three. You
guys
got three
win. I
two.
think you guys win at home. First leg, and I think they win 2 or 3-1 at the Etihad.
I can see it. Yep. I think so. That's one side of the bracket. So
Yeah.
those two matchups are crazy. Then we get the other side, and we're gonna have one of PSG, Barca, Atletico, or Dortmund in the final.
Yeah.
We'll start with PSG, Barca. First leg at the Parc des Princes on the 10th. Um, what do you think for this one? Who wins, and what's your score?
I think the Mbappe journey continues. I think this is just what he's showing to. I think he's right now he's only playing against Spain teams, and he has a chance to play against Atletico Madrid, and then he has a chance to play against Real Madrid in the final, which is a nice little welcome party to La Liga, which will be there full time in the summer. Um, but I'll say PSG wins convincingly. I'll say 4-2. 2-0 at home, and then 2-2 at the whatever stadium Barca is playing at, because I know they're not
They're
playing
not
at
at the
the,
Camp Nou, no.
yeah, not the Camp Nou.
I said I think it's more of the same. I think
Yeah.
um, Well, I'm very interested to see Mbappe against the side of Araujo and Koundé. I think the
Very
question is
nice.
going to be who steps up to the plate that's not named Mbappe for PSG. I'm going to agree with you. I think they win the first game 3-1. I think we see at least one of the two games where he really just takes over the game. The same way he did against Sociedad. So I say 3-1 at home, and then I think they lose in Barcelona 2-1, but still advance. I'd say 4-3, and they're off to the semifinal for the first time since someone left.
Yeah.
Someone left, and then they weren't able to make it to the semifinal. Then he went back to the MLS, and then they're back in the
Back at
semifinal.
it again.
Yes,
How big of an impact do you think this run will have on Mbappe's career?
legacy.
Yeah, because it's
Mm,
solo right now. He's a one man show as
I don't
is.
think it means anything if he doesn't win it.
Wow, but I think it'll help his
He's
if
not
he
22 anymore. He's 26.
that is true.
That's like in Cleveland when LeBron was kept falling short with Cleveland, and then he went to
Yeah.
Miami and he lost in the final. People were like, "Oh well, look, he got them to the final." They're like,
What else? Yeah, you got to win
"Yeah,
it.
you
Yeah,
got to win it." So
I
that's
think it does. It will help him in the Ballon d'Or race, especially with Euros coming up, just
yes,
in terms of numbers. But yeah, he needs a UCL in his cabinet.
yep. And then the last of the four is Atletico Madrid against Dortmund.
Yeah.
Um, I will start. I actually think the first leg being at home helps Atletico more. I feel like this is going to be a 2-0 win at home, and then we're going to see the most catastrophic bus just parked in Germany. I say 2-0 in the first leg, and then 1-1. But I will say Dortmund are the team this season that have just been surprising. I feel like especially myself, I have not given them the credit they deserve. They finished first in the group of death when I had them finishing fourth, and
Yep.
then they beat PSV like somewhat convincingly over two legs.
Yeah.
And they keep surprising. So I don't count them out, but I just think a 2-0 deficit to take back to Germany will be too much.
They lost to PSG in the opener of the Champions League, the first game, and they haven't lost since. It's been
Wow.
4 wins and one draw. But I think it'll be 1-0 at the Metropolitano, and then it'll be 0-0 at Dortmund. That's it. I call it a day. That's how it's gonna
That's
go.
the thing about these
Uh,
Simeone teams is if you get them like if they get you to being down and needing to go back home, good luck. And if they beat you away, that's it. You're done.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I think that's how it'll go. I think 1-0. Nice. Griezmann is good and healthy now. It'll be nice. Night and then it'll be. I do like the Dortmund Stadium. Their atmosphere is. I think it seats
the yellow
100.
wall,
Yeah.
gorgeous
Oh my
stadium too.
God, beautiful stadium. But nothing you can do against a Simeone, low block. I'm sorry.
I agree. So I think
Arsene Wenger
we
couldn't freaking do anything to
I
that.
know, and neither could Mourinho. Lost 4-1 there.
Yeah.
So we agree. I think on the four we said Atletico Madrid, PSG. Oh, actually we were different on Arsenal Bayern.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think what I want right now, what I want is Arsenal Madrid semifinal, but I think it'll be Arsenal City, and then a PSG Atletico. I think that would. I just want Mbappe to do the freaking Spain tour, and then just be like, okay, I've done it. Let me go to the UK, something like that. But it'll be nice, man. This draw, the as a whole, the ties, the storylines, everything is
It's
just
great this season.
mwah,
The one
beautiful.
thing I would have wished is I wish like one of the ties got switched. Like I wish it was like a Man City Madrid were on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. And then a final would have been like the Galactico versus Galactico. That would have been nice.
Oh, that would have been great. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to be back next week. Obviously we have international break, so the schedule is a little different. But then we get back and we have club football, and then the best part of the season is here, the
Yeah.
quarterfinals and on.
The ties will be so congested. It will be
Yes,
semifinals, the league titles. Oh, but yeah,
but
I can't
good to be
wait.
back, and yeah, take care, guys.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, peace.